Well, I think it's Ravens Eagles this year, and I really do believe that the Ravens are going to get over the hump. And if I'm not mistaken, when I looked at Ravens Eagles Super Bowl matchup earlier this year, it was like plus 1,800 or something to try to go under exact matchup on DK. But yeah, I've been pretty firm on Philly and Baltimore this year. I just look at the NFC, and I don't know who's going to be the real challenger. Detroit's lost both coordinators, and as we know around here, that's a real big deal. So a lot of pressure on Dan Campbell to keep that going. I know Green Bay went and got Micah Parsons, so people think maybe they have jumped up. I thought they were barely a wild card team. I'm not the biggest Jordan Love fan because the numbers show that when Jordan Love's got to throw the ball more than 30 times in the game, you're getting a pick or two. So if he can clean that up, then Green Bay might be able to really jump to the next level, and maybe they're the challenger in the NFC Championship game. But otherwise, Jay, in the NFC, I just don't know who's coming for Philly. I really don't. And if it's Minnesota, you're doing it with essentially a rookie quarterback. Like, you got to treat J.J. McCarthy like he is a rookie and put all those metrics in there. So I'm not big on – a lot of people are big on Minnesota. I am not as big on Minnesota. I think Washington's going to – they won 12 last year. I think Washington slides back to be a 10-win team but still makes the playoffs. There's just, to me, nobody in the NFC, I think, that is poised and ready to go into Philly, which is what you'd have to do, and go beat that team.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Stafford's health gives me pause on the Rams. I like that team very much. I think if that game hadn't been in the snow, they got a great chance to win it in last year's postseason. I'll go Bengals, Packers. I like the Ravens very much. You're going to get much better value in the books on the Bengals than you are the Ravens. I just believe in Joe Burrow a little more than I believe in everyone else. And I feel as though if they can get the defense somewhat right, I believe he sort of has this Michael Jordan quality to him. There's a reason he got to the Super Bowl. I expect him to get back at some point. And I think the division component with Baltimore makes that a more winnable matchup, as sort of dumb as that may sound, right? So it's like, as much as I like Baltimore, I think Cincinnati, hey, maybe they can win the division and host that game. Division's certainly going to be difficult for both of those teams. I think Pittsburgh will make some noise, but I like the Bengals in the AFC, and I do believe the Packers, that Micah Parsons moves the needle enough. If you're putting a gun to my head, I'm taking Philadelphia. But just in an effort to be different a little bit, I'll go Green Bay. But I think the Eagles have as good a chance to repeat here as we've seen in a long time. And finally, but if I see you chomping, A.J. Brown was interviewed very close to after the Super Bowl last year, and someone asked him about repeating, and he made a comment, and I'm paraphrasing, but talked about, oh, well, it just has to be totally different, is what he said. Something like, oh, it just has to. And that mindset of just sort of, oh, no, if we're going to win back-to-back, things have to change. You almost have to pull a 180. It's the idea that the same thing is going to work again. A lot of things need to change. So Bengals, Packers, with the Bengals hoisting Lombardi.
Yeah, I can't pick a team that doesn't have any defense, and that's why I stayed away from Cincinnati. They couldn't stop the gas all-stars. Us too. Put your brother in there. Put Bone in there. I don't think they can stop us on offense, which is why I stopped short on Cincinnati, because you're right on Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the rare guy who can drag his team a round or two further in the playoffs than maybe any other quarterback in the NFL, and that includes Allen and Mahomes. But I just can't get past the fact that I think their head coach is good, not great in Cincinnati. And defensively, I just think they stink out loud. They're going to have to win shoot. Like, there's no quarterback in the NFL, and this is crazy to think about, right? Because if the Bills don't make the Super Bowl, there's a chance their head coach ends up being let go at the end of the year. So some would say Josh Allen has all the pressure in the world on him. I don't think so. I think it's Joe Burrow. No one has to carry more of a load for their football team than Joe Burrow, and it's because his defense stinks. Like, at least Mahomes has found a defense that he knows he could lean on, and if he's got to find a way to get to 23, he finds a way to get there.
Well, good thing it's my pick, not yours. A lot of people think the Bengals defense is going to be worse this year than it was last year, believe it or not. So I am not in that company. Before we get out of here, Boston Red Sox, anything you want to say on the Boston Red Sox?
Who are they? Who? What? There's
Me,
baseball.
I think at this point, you sort of just hope they sort of stay healthy and stay in the mix and hope that they peak at the right time. But I just want to say for me on the Red Sox, the story
they're making the playoffs.
Let me finish. The story is Trevor for me. That's okay. Trevor's story, the stability he's provided, right? He was hitting 214 on June 16th. Excuse me, on June 6th, okay? His average right now, 260, 23 home runs, 86 RBIs, 24 steals, hasn't been caught stealing. The most important statistic, he's played 135 games. In his first 3 years in Boston, he only played in 94 games, right? So in those 3 years, right, 43 games his first year, the first 3 years, 94 games in the first year, 43 games the second year, 26 games last year. In those 3 years, 21 home runs combined. So he clips that. 90 RBIs. He's already at 86. He's going to drive in 100 runs. And yesterday, a game they needed, it was him 3 for 4 with a home run. And that's stability, right? It's like you need a lot of different factors. But believe it or not, like I didn't like that signing, Gresh. And after the first few years, it was like, oh gosh, because he was injured a lot. But when healthy, like regardless of the dollars, he plugs like that hole. He's been so valuable. So anyway, that's my rant. Go ahead.
This might be the week that the Yankees end up really having the stake driven through their heart relative to the Red Sox and the Yankees in the standings. And what I mean by that is the Blue Jays are at the Yankees. Now the Jays lead the Yanks by 3 in the American League East. And in the month of August, the Yanks were 16-12. The Jays were 15-12. But the Blue Jays lead the season series 7-3. So I'm not saying if Toronto goes in and gets a sweep, but if they do, and the Yanks end up falling 3 games back, now it's not only 3 games, or not only is it further back with the Blue Jays, but now you're falling behind the Red Sox in the wild card standings as well. So as we get to the month of September and you start to look at the schedule, while the Red Sox don't have it easy, you know, you're talking about division and wild card implications now for a team like the Yankees, who will welcome in the Blue Jays this weekend. And who knows what the hell happens this week leading into a series like that, where, you know, the Yanks might be multiple games behind the Red Sox by the time you and I are sitting back here next Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right. Or the Yankees could be leading the division, only 2 games back in the loss column. And that's what's just so interesting. You know, the fact that the division may still be in play. And I think we talked about last week's show, the Red Sox were sort of heavily favored to make the playoffs. And so as long as they sort of stay in the mix, I mean, they absolutely could win the division, right, with a hot month of September.
You're right. And I never would have thought that, because the Sox are 15 games over. Look at it this way. To get to 90, they need, quick math, they need 13 more wins to get to 90 on the year. 90 all but guarantees you're going to be in. So even if they fall short of that, the math is now working in their favor, that even if they just have a mid-level month, let's say they're just 500, but they get 13 wins, now you're looking at a 90-win team heading into the postseason who maybe hasn't quite figured out the starting pitching